Hey everybody, welcome back to the Boston-Raleigh channel. We're doing more Napoleon. Napoleon conquering everything. Napoleon conquering Italy. The Napoleon in Italy campaign. Part 3, the battle for Mantua. We're going to figure out what Napoleon does next. He's been doing some amazing stuff. Let's get into it.
August 1796. The war between France's infant republic and the coalition seems to be tipping in France's favor. In the Vendée, General Hoche has brought the 3-year royalist revolt to an end. This appalling civil war has cost an estimated 165,000 lives and is the bloodiest chapter of the French Revolution.
Yikes. So that's where all the non-glory is. You don't want to be all the way out there where you're making France worse by trying to make it better. That's what's going on there. Out in Italy, Napoleon over here, not so much of a revolutionary as much as he is quite just an amazing general. We're going conquering stuff.
Bourbon Spain allies with France. They will combine forces against their common enemy, Great Britain. In Germany, the armies of General Jourdan and General Moreau have crossed the Rhine and are advancing on Vienna. While in Italy, Napoleon's stunning victory at Castiglione has sent the Austrians scurrying back to the Tyrol. Napoleon can now resume his siege of Mantua, the key to Italy.
So this is for those of you who don't remember last episode, that Mantua siege kind of necessitated all the minor little scuffles, skirmishes, and conflicts that they were doing. They were just trying to lay waste to Mantua and capture it, basically taking over that whole chunk of Italy. That's been the goal. They were close. The Austrians came in to go resupply Mantua. They kicked the Austrians out. Now they're back at it.
But he'll have to start over. The Austrians have used the interlude to drag away his heavy guns and demolish his siege works. In summer, the pestilential marshes that surround the city are lethal. The Austrian garrison has been decimated by disease, mostly malaria.
That area looks like Virginia Beach.
General Serrurier, commanding the French siege, also contracts the disease. He returns to France to recover and is replaced by General Sauguet. Sickness and a shortage of equipment once more plague the French army in Italy. Even the heroic General Massena asks to be replaced, citing ill health and exhaustion.
Yeah, but you when you have someone like Massena, you need him back and healthy. So you need him to go rest.
Napoleon rejects his request. Despite these problems, the Directory in Paris orders Napoleon to attack as part of a grand strategic offensive against Austria. He is to break through to Innsbruck, join forces with Moreau's Army of the Rhine, then together invade Austria and force Emperor Francis to sue for peace. Napoleon faces an enemy of roughly equal size. So he plans to use speed and concentration of force to fall upon Austrian troops in the Adige Valley.
This is entirely a maneuvering fight. If you're able to force Austria, because going through the mountains is tough. With an army, you don't have as much wiggle room. So sometimes in the mountain crevices, you get kind of like parts of your army are held up at different parts than others, just by the natural consequence of having to march through the mountains. That'll provide some strategic opportunity. I think if I had to guess, Napoleon's going to use that to his advantage.
And clear the path northwards. His opponent, Austrian Field Marshal von Wurmser, is under immense pressure to relieve Mantua. His staff believe that recent fighting has left the French army shattered and incapable of offensive operations. So the Austrians plan to make their own advance.
That seems like a bad idea, though. I mean, not to say that France wasn't a little spent at this point in time, but they're still in the thick of it. I don't think that they're completely decimated at this point. Going back for more just seems like it's going to result in mass casualties.
Rather than try to force his way past French troops in the Adige Valley, Wurmser will keep Davidovich in a defensive role, while he leads a wide outflanking march via the Brenta Valley and Bassano to reach Mantua from the east.
That would be smart if the idea was to really press on to keep Mantua. But I'm a little skeptical as to how this is going to work, because that's a long march and you're splitting up your army.
There he will link up with its garrison. And when Napoleon comes south to face him, he will be caught between two Austrian armies.
But they're using the same amount of troops. This is the thing, that's that you need to take maneuverability into account, and Napoleon has roughly equal force. So pincer move, maybe that works, but I don't know. That seems like a stretch to me. Not that it might not actually just work anyway, but I wonder again. Napoleon's very smart. Let's see what he does. I doubt if Bonaparte had the command of the Austrian forces, he could have contrived it better for his own purposes. What? Dude, haters? Haters, man. British observer with the Austrian army. Haters.
The Austrians begin their advance on the 1st of September. French forces begin their advance the following day. Massena pushes up the Adige Valley, with Augereau taking a tougher, mountainous route on his right. General Vaubois marches around Lake Garda to join them, with one brigade crossing by boat.
This is like such a distributed attack right now. You have like essentially 4 different forces breaking up and re-merging together to go and meet an army. And it seems like a lot of things could go wrong, but also a lot of things could go right.
The forward Austrian outposts are driven in, and by the 4th, 3 French divisions are converging on Davidovich's heavily outnumbered force near Rovereto. General Victor leads the main attack straight up the road, driving back the enemy center. Meanwhile, French light infantry swarm up the sides of the valley to outflank the enemy. It's a tactic the French will use again and again to force the Austrians out of strong positions in the narrow passes.
Well, that's the thing, is that if Davidovich has taken up a stronghold position, but you need to be able to defend that, and if you don't have the proper men to do that, I don't know. It seems to me like the idea of a like double collapse here. You've got the top army coming down, the bottom army pushing up to try to press Napoleon between two armies. That doesn't really work, because what are you supposed to do when the top army is being attacked? The bottom army can't go and reinforce them. They're already halfway through the mountains.
The Austrians are driven up the valley towards Davidovich's main camp at Calliano. As Napoleon remarks, this position should have been impregnable. Sheer
Right.
mountains, either side of a valley floor that's just a few hundred yards wide. A small castle and wall add to the formidable natural defenses. But its defense has been left to a single, shaken Austrian regiment, which is given no time to prepare. When the French hit them with speed and numbers, they give way. Massena's troops break through to the main Austrian camp, where soldiers, expecting a much longer respite, are preparing dinner. The arrival of the French sparks chaos and confusion. The Austrian escape route is immediately jammed with fleeing troops, wagons and guns. The French round up around 3,000 prisoners, alongside 25 guns and 7 standards.
Well, so that's a 4-1 massacre.
Napoleon had thought that he faced the whole Austrian army around Trento. But now, speaking with prisoners and locals, he learns that Wurmser and half his army have set off down the Brenta Valley. Destination unknown. With typical speed and decisiveness, Napoleon tears up the plan to join Moreau at Innsbruck and orders a pursuit. If he can catch and destroy Wurmser before he reaches safety, the war in Italy will be won.
I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing, though, is that at that point, if Napoleon's able to catch up to him, the entire idea of being, like, the pincer move here has been completely reversed. Like, at that point, you can't... The mountains are really hard to just trek through, and they give you kind of specific paths you have to follow. So someone just has to really try to catch up to you. And if they were able to catch up, I don't know, man. Seems like Wurmser made a bad decision. On the 8th, I shall be at Bassano. If the enemy waits for me, there will be a battle which I will decide the fate of this whole country. Napoleon to the Directory, 6th of September, 1796. Except I did that sort of British, he'd be like, oh, and I don't know how to do that accent very well.
When Wurmser receives news of the fiasco at Calliano, his troops are already strung out along the Brenta Valley,
Yup.
with his vanguard approaching Vicenza. There is nothing to gain by turning back.
Nope.
He orders Davidovich to hold the passes north, assuming they are Napoleon's objective, and pushes on to Mantua.
Bro.
But Napoleon is not going north. He orders Vaubois to pursue Davidovich and keep him blocked in, while Augereau's division leads the rest of the army down the narrow, funnel-like Brenta Valley in pursuit of the Austrians. The army of Italy is brimming with confidence and momentum, and marches much faster than the Austrians. A small force at Levico offers token resistance before...
You know, I do have to mention, though, that the fact that the French army is actually doing better is contributing to their success. A lot more than just the tactics. If you're going faster, that's a lot more that you can do.
It's bundled down the Brenta Valley. The next day, French light infantry rout a 3,000-strong Austrian rearguard at Primolano, taking most of them prisoner.
Na 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 na.
Wurmser decides to make another stand at Bassano, where the valley opens into flat plains.
Well, at least there's an escape route if things go poorly, but not really.
With Colonel Lannes leading the charge, the Austrians are driven back, then chased into town by Murat's cavalry. Amid panic, chaos, and blocked roads, the French take another 2,000 prisoners, including an Austrian general and 30 guns.
Oh my god! Alright, look. 6.5 to 1. Alright, so that, I guess we'll round up the numbers to give you whole number fractions here. 13 to 2. The casual estimate's 13 to 2.
Wurmser is in disarray, down to 12,000 men, outnumbered 2 to 1, with part of his force retreating in the wrong direction towards Trieste.
Man.
His only hope is to reach Mantua.
Oh no.
The two armies are in a foot race. But for the first time in the campaign, Austrian soldiers outmarch their exhausted French counterparts.
So this is something I have to say. If Wurmser had done a better job planning this, I mean, I guess the thing again is they underestimated Napoleon. Wurmser thought Napoleon's going to get drawn, and that's not usually what happens. Napoleon doesn't. There's been a couple times. I know of a couple times where he's got drawn away stupidly, but that this is. We'll assume that we can draw Napoleon in the direction we want him. That was the entire premise of this whole campaign, this whole strategy today, is that they thought that they could just kind of send half the army around to go reinforce Mantua, which is a hell of a trek, and then they had the other army was going to push down south. The first issue is that the army up in the mountains was not going to be able to push down south because Napoleon was already at them, and Napoleon had better forces. Like, maybe this is an overestimation of the Austrian army, but again, that being the first time that they were outmarched is an indicator here. It's not just strategy, but the strategy wasn't good.
Wurmser leaves a small garrison at the fortress of Legnago to slow Augereau's pursuit. Forging ahead, Massena manages to block the Austrians' path at Cherea.
Yep.
But General Ott makes a determined attack and clears the road, taking 700 French prisoners and 7 guns.
Ooh.
It is a rare defeat for Massena.
Napoleon should have let Massena go get some rest.
With the help of a local informant, Wurmser then finds an intact, unguarded bridge across the Tiorne River and reaches the outskirts of Mantua on the 13th of September. His army has been saved from destruction by the skin of its teeth.
But now that now the siege just extends to the entire army. Napoleon has more men. Napoleon has properly maneuvered himself to kind of surround Mantua. This seems still like a French victory. What soldier could fail to admire the gallant old Wurmser, never depressed by defeat, who, having been hunted from the Brenta to the Mantua, now stood in front of the garrison determined to cut his way back. Colonel Ramsay Weston Phipps, British military historian. Here's the problem, British military historian, the haters. Wurmser was not depressed by his defeat, which is good. That's admirable. Getting defeated was not good. And again, I don't know. Maybe Wurmser wins this one. It doesn't look good. I'll be honest. Napoleon has won almost every skirmish. They have been the Austrians have been generally outmaneuvered here. They made it to Mantua, but again, you can reinforce the siege or reinforce the defense for the siege, but now the entire army is surrounded by French troops. The maneuvering, the pincer maneuver has gone from Austrians having Napoleon in an up-down pincer to Napoleon having the Austrians in a left-right pincer. I'm not sure how they get out of that.
Napoleon has failed to prevent Wurmser reaching Mantua. But he knows that if he can bottle him up inside the city,
right,
it will put intolerable strain on its supplies.
Exactly. That's the thing, is like you're gonna go all the way to Mantua just to be stuck there, because now Wurmser has less men. Right? I mean, unless I've been counting wrong, which I don't think I have. Wurmser's lost several thousand troops to Napoleon's several hundred. Now Wurmser's stuck.
For that reason, Wurmser wants to keep his army outside the city walls, free to maneuver, and, crucially, forage for supplies in the surrounding country.
Yeah, that's necessary.
The next morning, as Augereau accepts the surrender of the Austrian garrison at Legnago, Massena tries a surprise attack at Due Castelli. But it's overambitious. His men have not had time to recover from their long march.
I don't like all these Massena fights because it seems like they're trying really, really hard to make Massena make a miracle happen.
The Austrians fight bravely. The following day, Napoleon launches a much larger, coordinated attack.
Yep.
Sauge's division advances on the right. His troops are soon in heavy fighting with Ott's brigade around the Villa La Favorita. Augereau's division, under temporary command of General Bonne, advances along the Mincio River, trying to turn the Austrian right flank. When Wurmser sends reserves from his center to strengthen both flanks, Massena's concealed division launches its attack.
Right.
Victor and Rampont lead the way with their veteran demi-brigades. Austrian cavalry hurl themselves at the French, but are beaten off.
Gay. Also, Why would you do that? The cavalry is supposed to... The big thing about the cavalry is you use them to speed around and outmaneuver people. Like, if they swung around to enclose somebody. But the cavalry... I'm going to say cavalry again if I'm not careful. The cavalry is not meant for just a charge forth you normally. That seems like, again, a misuse.
Heavy fighting rages on the outskirts of Mantua for much of the afternoon. Finally, Wormser's center begins to crumble.
Yep.
And the French take San Giorgio. Much of the Austrian right wing is cut off. Many are forced to surrender, while others flee into the lake.
Oh, man. Into the
With
lake.
the Austrian line shattered, Wormser orders his men to fall back to the safety of Mantua's citadel.
Oh. Dude, again, this is 2 to 5. This is 5 to 2. These are still terrible, terrible numbers. I'm looking at this as it's like a slow motion train wreck. This is what this is. I don't know. To me, again, it is Napoleon. Napoleon's brilliant, but it just seems like a lot of bad steps by the Austrians in this fight, in particular. The prior fights, more reasonable. This one, I'm just like, I don't know what they're doing.
The troops that were to have rescued Mantua are now trapped alongside its garrison.
Yup.
By early October, the French have cut off the city and resumed their siege. Conditions inside Mantua deteriorate rapidly.
Yup.
Disease, wounds, and malnutrition kill on average nearly 100 Austrian soldiers every day for 6 weeks.
100 a day! It's not even fighting!
Civilians are reduced to eating rats and horses.
Yep. That's not good.
Napoleon, meanwhile, returns to Milan, sending his aide-de-camp, Major Marmont, to Paris to present 22 captured Austrian standards to the Directory. But elsewhere, the war has not been going so well for France. Archduke Charles, younger brother of the Emperor Francis, has defeated General Jourdan's army twice in 2 weeks. It and General Moreau's army of the Rhine are forced to retreat back to the frontier. These setbacks mean Napoleon will get very few of the reinforcements he's so urgently requested.
I mean, look. I think Napoleon's doing okay. I know that he would want more, but geez, I think Napoleon can make it work at this point.
His men are exhausted.
I
Many
believe
of
it.
them are sick. They must contain an enormous and increasingly desperate garrison in Mantua, with the certain knowledge that the Austrians will try again soon to save the city.
The Austrian force that was sent to save the city is now stuck in the city, though. This is impressive. Obviously, if he had gotten the reinforcements, this would be over. Like, there is no way Napoleon couldn't just easily repel anything Austrian coming their way with 25,000 more soldiers. But again, it seems like the where the forces are needed are not in Italy, and that is very much clear by how, like, Napoleon. This is what you learn in the workforce. What do you get rewarded with for doing a lot of really good work? More work. You get rewarded with more work. That's what Napoleon got here, is more work.
And there are diplomatic concerns which also trouble Napoleon. In Rome, the Pope stirs animosity against the French, citing their treatment of the Catholic Church in the territories they administer.
Well, they shouldn't have treated the Catholic Church so badly. Pope Pius VI is right here.
These now include the Cispadane Republic, formed in part from the Duchy of Modena, which Napoleon has abolished for colluding with the enemy. There is also the lingering threat that Naples may rejoin the war at a critical moment to stab him in the back.
Yup.
So, to secure his southern flank, Napoleon concludes a comprehensive peace treaty with Naples without bothering to consult the directory.
I mean, it's probably a prudent move, though, because, again, Naples coming into the fold would completely throw everything to pieces.
It's actions like this that feed the whispers in Paris. This popular young general's ambition seems limitless. Might he not one day prove a dangerous political player? But such talk will be moot if Napoleon fails in Italy. That autumn, as Austrian troops march once more to the relief of Mantua, he will face his most skilled opponent yet, Feldzugmeister Joseph Alvinczi.
Ooh.
The first man...
Feldzugmeister. That sounds disgustingly and obscenely important. Not even just important. That seems like the kind of thing that you send when you're done playing around. The Feldzugmeister. Alvinczi could be in a lot of things. That's just a name, but Feldzugmeister, oh man.
To defeat Napoleon Bonaparte in battle.
Of course, with the series, you gotta understand there is a little bit of me talking out my ass here. I have no idea what the hell these things mean in German, so I don't know. Anyway, that's a good chunk of Wormser failed a lot today. Wormser is screwed. Also, there's a lot of British, like all these historians, all these British historians, either in the time or later, they're all just haters. They don't like Napoleon. They all wish Napoleon's downfall. Napoleon should never listen to any British voices here, nor should you, because Napoleon is just that good. And no one will convince me otherwise. Even though Wormser just kind of shot himself in the foot this whole episode, let's see what he does next time. Let's see what the Austrians do, if they can actually take anything out. We're gonna do the bridge at Arcole next week. That's gonna be interesting. Definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. A little bit shorter this week, but last week was super long. Definitely have yourselves a great rest of the week. We'll be back Monday with part 4 of the Napoleon's Italian campaign. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.